Hi everyone. Good afternoon everyone. Okay, so can you see my screen? Wait a minute, yeah. Okay, so I will record the session. Okay, so for your practical for objects and classes, so previously in the previous class we talked about question number 4, right? This one. Okay, so this is your question number 4. So this one is regarding the road transport department. So this department needs to keep track of car registration. So this is the data field that you need to store in your code. So for this code, for this scenario, you will need to identify the required class and appropriate relationship, whether it is aggregation or composition. So I repeat, aggregation is a weak relationship, while composition is a strong relationship. For example, let's say for aggregation, weak relationship, right? Okay, let's say you have a cell phone and then you have a phone battery. Okay, one phone battery can belongs to a phone, right? But if your phone is stop functioning, we can simply throw the phone away, right? But the battery will still functioning. So that is what we call as aggregation or weak relationship. While for composition, or we call it as strong relationship. For example, you have a question and then you have an answer for each question, right? Okay. For example, let's say one question can have multiple answer, but an answer cannot belong to multiple question. Let's say if we delete question, so A or the answer will also be deleted, in which child cannot exist independently without the parent. So we call it as composition. Okay. So based on this scenario, you need to identify the appropriate class for your transport department, road transport department of car registration. So this is the sample output. So for this one, so this is the registration number. For this one, you need to automate this registration number, name, IC number, plate number, color, year, make, model, and capacity. Okay. Okay, last time I show you that for your car class, you can have number, color, year, and also car type as your variable. Okay. So for your variable or your data field, you need to set it as private because we want to limit the access. Where only certain class will be able to retrieve this variable or your data field. And then for the entity class, you need a parameterized constructor to initialize all your instance variable. Okay, like this. And then the next requirement is the toString method to return all the data fields value as the SO string. Okay, so this is how you meet this requirement. So this one is parameterized constructor. So this is your constructor. Constructor is also a type of method, but we call it as constructor because it has the same name with your class. So we call it constructor. Okay, so anything that bounded within this one is method, and then this one is your parenthesis, right? So we call it as method. Constructor is also method, but we call it as constructor because it has the same name with your class. Okay, and then for this one, oh, this one is F because okay, so this is for your car class. Okay, Okay, so for your car type, the variable or the data fields or the instance variable that you can have in your car type model is make, model, and capacity. For the make, for the variable make, so this one, we set it as string. Also, model also string, and then for the capacity, we set it as double. Again, don't forget to public, private. To set your data fields as private.
Means if the
Because
capacity
we
is set
want to
as
private, double. Okay. Why we put as we set it as private? Because we want to limit the access. And then for the parameters constructor, so we use this to avoid data shadowing because the arguments name is similar to your variables, right? So we use this in order to avoid data shadowing. Like this. And then for the owner class, and have name and IC number. and then toString method. Okay. And then for the registration, you can have reg number, registration number, owner. Okay. So this one is the registration number. The data type is integer, and then this one is the variable owner. The type is owner. This owner comes from your owner class. And then for car, this one comes from your car class. So for this one, you need to identify the relationship first lah before you set which one you want to key in your code. Which one you want to include in your code. Okay, so something like this. And then this is the third requirement. You need to automate the registration number. So for the registration number, we automate the values in your registration class. So how you are going to automate this number? First of all, you need to create the data field. You need to initialize the registration number like this. Okay. And then because the numbers automate starts from 1001, right? So you need to create another static variable for the next registration number to increment. We create another static variable. Don't forget to set it as private also. And then inside your parameterized constructor, you also need to initialize your registration number. So for this case, we need to initialize the registration number. At this time, it will take this value. Because this value is increment 1 by 1, right? So we take the next registration value lah, not the original one. This one is only for the initialization, but because of the registration number is increment 1 by 1, for this value, we take the next value of your registration number that is incremented 1 by 1. Okay, so for this case, don't forget to include your setters and getters. You can have more lah. And then in your owner's class also, you can have your setters and getters. And add your own setters lah here. Somehow it is a good practice that you create a getter and setter for each of your variable. Okay. And for your main program or your for driver program, Okay, so for your main program or your driver program, can you see this one? Because you need a user input, don't forget to import your Java util scanner. Import your util scanner. Okay, your main program or your driver program must have the main method. So this is the main method of your program. Don't get confused. Your class don't have main method, but your driver program should have your main method. So this is the format on how you're going to write your main method. Public is your access modifier. Static is your access specifier. Void is the type of your main method. And then main is your main method. And then inside here is your arguments. So usually we set this one as default. We cannot change this one. So according to the question, okay, you may create an array of car type objects where each object stores the information of car type. And then this array may be created by using array initialization. Okay, and then during user input for a car registration, you may display various car types for the user to select from. Okay, so for this one, you initialize the car type like this. And then for the registration, okay, because the example given to is up until 6, right? That's why we put it as 6. If you want to change it to 10 also, you can change this one accordingly. It depends on you. And then after you scan the input from the user, you can have your for looping in order to loop the user input. Okay, so you may continue to answer your practical for now. Okay, and then for question, the last question for the practical assessment. So this one is the UML diagram that represents a short course offered by Alpha College. So this one is the data field. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data fields. And then here we have course title, fees per student, number of student names, and course count. Okay, and then for the student names, you need to declare this one as a string. But for this one, it is an array lah that stores a maximum of 100 student names. Okay, so for this question, you and then this one is your method. For your class course, for your course class. Okay, inside your course class, you need to create your setters and getters. Okay, for example, let's say you have 3 data fields, you have 3 variables. You also need to have 3 setters and 3 getters. And then inside here also, we have call fees collected method, add student method, and toString method. For the toString method, you can follow the format that I've given to you just now. And then here, this is the requirement. So inside your call fees collected, you need to use this formula in order to calculate the total amount of fees collected for this course. And then inside your add student method, you need to allow a new student who has enrolled for a course to be added to the student names array. And then for the toString method, so you need to write your toString method in which your toString method will return a string. So this one is for sub-question A. And then for sub-question B, this is a new course offered by the Alpha College. Here we have course title and also fees per student. And then we have 3 students who have registered for the course. So based on this scenario, you need to create a code in which your code will display the course title, and also total fees collected for the course, together with the student name. For example, for in this case, we have 3 students, right? Ali Said, Wong, Kin, and Peter Lim, right? So the total fees for the course is equal to 250 multiplied by 3 is equal to 750, right? So it should display the course title, student name, and also total fees collected. For this question, you only have one class, which is the course class. So you may continue answering your practical for now.